starting to build the outer box for our wall bed. This is what's going to contain the mattress and the frame. I've got 2 pieces of plywood here that I ripped to, I believe it's 16 5/8. Now, once again, when they're all installed, this is going to have that little nosing piece of the 3/4 by 3/4 lumber that's got the 1/8 by 1/8 rebates on it to hide the plywood edge. Right now though, I'm getting ready to cut to 7'6" tall. Now the reason 7'6" is just because that I think looks like the right proportions in the room. I've got my track saw set up. I'm going to make this cut. Now the next step is a little bit different than what I used to do. I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes that the hinge bracket attaches to these pieces of plywood right now while I've got them here on a flat surface where I've got something underneath it that will keep them from blowing out when I drill them. And it's found it's just a lot easier to drill those now than wait until I get the cabinet standing up. The big key though is I need to make sure I've got them laid out to drill them in a pair, because you sure don't want to have 2 lefts or 2 rights when you get everything together. I'm going to get this out of the way. I'm going to lay them out like they're going to be in a pair, and then I'm going to mark them. Now, another important thing is I want to drill from the outside of the box in, so that if anything blows out in the way of the veneer or anything, on the inside it won't show because that's where the metal bracket is. But on the outside, there's nothing at all that trims it out. So I'm going to lay it out and I'll drill a 3/8 inch hole through there right now. It may look like overkill, but I've got these 2 Bessie clamps really holding this template down solid. Now, because I haven't added this outside edging yet, and I won't until I get in the other room, the template's actually hanging out 3/4 past the end. But right here, it's flush with the bottom because that's where the floor needs to be. Now, I'm just going to take my 3/8 drill and just drill right through the template, through the plywood, and I'm going to hold it down against this OSB underneath so it doesn't tear out on the bottom side. So this is the outside edge. This is going to be the outside edge of the other piece. I'm going to take this template loose and I'll get this piece out of the way, bring the other one around. I do need to check and make sure I actually drilled all the way through. Just in case I didn't, I'll be able to follow this hole and come out the back side. Well, it looks like I drilled through on all of them. So this piece is going to move out of the way. I'm going to bring the other one in and we'll drill the same holes in it, except I guess exactly the mirror opposite of those holes. The next thing I want to do though, before I start assembling this, I've already got my top piece cut and I've got pocket screw holes to let it attach between the 2 sides, but there's a big piece of 3/4 plywood that needs to fit in between the sides of my box at the very, very top. And because it's a big piece, I want to get it cut and all the holes drilled for it before I start assembling the box on the table. This is the piece that's going to give a lot of strength and support to the back of that cabinet that I'm building. Now, so far I've done everything just using my Foreman, but this piece is too big even if I had a helper to do on the Foreman. So I'm going to use this, this special jig which just clamps right on the edge, and I'll just drill right there. Well, that ought to be plenty of pocket screw holes to hold everything together and give me a lot of strength to my cabinet. So I'm going to put this piece aside, bring my sides and my top in, screw them all together, then I'll be ready to add this back in. So I'm ready to start putting this great big box together. Now I know I'm going to add some trim around the top, so instead of struggling with these big pieces, I'm just going to take my nailer, put a few nails to keep things lined up. They don't give me all the strength that I need, but they'll do great to keep things lined up until I can run my screws in. And I don't mind at all having a few extra nails in there because it's all gonna be covered with trim. All right, I'm ready to bring in that other side. All right, well that's the last screw. This thing is solid as can be. So we're ready to raise up the garage door, carry it and the platform in the other room and install them. The only thing I've still got to do to this is just nail on some edge banding, and we'll do that when we get in the other room.